Good evening, everyone. Now we are starting our session. So let me share my screen first of all. Okay. So is my screen visible and am I audible to everyone?
Yeah,
Yes, Hiran, yeah.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So welcome to 3 days course on basics of data analytics using R. So before we move ahead in our course, I would like to give a brief introduction about our company. So our company State Modeler. Uh, Basically, the idea behind this. Basically, the idea behind this company is in my career, I have seen many professionals, or you can say research scholar, or the people who are working in the industry. They are finding challenges when they are dealing with the data. So they are collecting a huge amount of data, but they are not able to, make out like what are the tools and technique to be used so that the data can be converted into the decision making. So by having that idea in mind, we started this company. It was established in 2019, just last year. And previously, I was working with one of the management consulting company as a senior consultant, and then I started this company. So basically, we are into four domains. The first is we are providing training and consultancy related to the data science, where we are covering the subjects like machine learning, R and R Studio that we are going to see now, Python, SPSS, SAS, Minitab, Power BI, Tableau, then Basic Excel, Advanced Excel, and many more. So for that, we are providing training as well as consultancy projects also we are executing for our client. The second domain where we are into business transformation, where we are using this operational excellence concepts like 5S, Kaizen, Lean, Six Sigma, TPM, TQM and all. And we create a blended approach for our client. So in one of the department, let's say Six Sigma is applicable. In another department, let's say 5S is applicable. So we combine all this approach and create a roadmap so that that business transformation can be more effective. The third domain where we are working is research projects. So it may be government sponsored, it may be UGC sponsored, it may be university sponsored, or it may be private project, or it may be individual project. So in that also we are sharing our expertise. And the fourth domain where we are also collaborating with universities and the colleges, where we are conducting workshops, training programs and certification courses for the faculties as well as students. Now, these are some of the areas where we have provided our services. So it's agroeconomics, dairy economics, home science, mechanical engineering, pharmaceutical sciences, financial management, management studies, marketing management, then this process industry, ceramic industry, plastic process industry, chemical industry. So these are the companies or the areas where we have provided either training or consultancy services in that domain. These are some of the snaps of the programs that we delivered. So usually we delivered physical programs in the classroom, but now due to this pandemic situation, we are also delivering this online. So these are like SPSS, SAS. It was in BVM College, Department of Statistics, SP University, then DDU Nadiad. Then in Mumbai University also we have provided training on R. At AERC we have provided training on R. Then faculty development program where all the faculties are there. So in that also we have provided training on R. And again it is organized by Gujarat University. So these are some of the snaps of our activities. And these are the members, or we can say valuable member of our company. So I am Hiren Kakkad, and these are the business associate who are working with me. And this Kapil Wanand is operating from London, or you can say he is operating from that region. Now you are going to spend 3 days with me. So you should know like who am I and what is my background. So I'm CEO and co-founder of this company called State Modeler. I'm having more than 8 years of industrial experience. I'm also Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I'm certified auditor for ISO 9001 quality management system. Till date, I've trained more than 4,000 people and I've guided 100 plus improvement projects. I've assisted 25 plus research projects, and I'm trainer for all these concepts which I explained earlier. Now, let us jump into the agenda of today. Let me mute because disturbance is there. So let us have a look at what are the things that we are going to cover today. So we'll cover first of all what is R and why one should learn R. Then we'll see what is R Studio then. Then we'll also talk about download and installation of R and R Studio. I have already shared the link in email as well as on WhatsApp. So you may have watched that video and you have installed it. And once we open this R and R Studio, at that time, whatever screen that we are able to see, so what is the interface that is called? What is the name of those screen? What are the uses of those screen? So that things we are going to see. And then we will be touching upon the data types in R, because in every programming language or any software, data type is there. So that we are going to see in R, what is the nomenclature for those data types. Then we'll also see the data structure in R. So it is nothing but like nature of the data. So that makes a structure of the data. So that also we are going to see in R, what are the data structures. And after that, we are going to see how can we import data from CSV, then text and Excel file. And after that, once the data is imported, we'll import some of the sample files. Once it is done, after that we are going to play with that file, like we want some of the slice from the data, or we want to get some subset of the data. So how can we get that? So that kind of activities that we are going to see. And then at the end there will be a session wrap up and last question and answer. So I'll ask at the end we'll have a question and answer session. So in between we'll not cover that questions and all. So you're requested to, if chat is enabled for you, then you can put into the chat box, and at the last we'll review. Otherwise at the last you can raise your hand. I'll ask you to unmute, and then you can speak out your doubts and queries, right? So let us move ahead with what is R and what is importance of R. So let's first of all see the simplicity of R. So like hello world program is most common example, which is like taught in every programming language. So we are not going to learn it, but we are just comparing like how R is simple. So let's say if we want to write down the hello world program in C++, then we need to write down this much of code. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 lines of code is there, right? If you want to write it down same program in Java, then there are 5 lines of code along with this, some of the like curly brackets and the square brackets and the round brackets that we have to use. In the same program, if you want to write it down in C#, so you can see these are the things that you need to write it down. But let's say the same thing we want to execute in R, then how can we do that? So it's as simple as that. You are just mentioning hello world in single quote or double quote. It will understand that it is a string that you want to print. So that is the simplicity of R. And we are also going to cover like why one should learn R. So there are 11 reasons, which is I have compiled based on my experience as well as some of the research which is done by data scientists. So that compilation I did and I presented in this slide. The first reason one should go for R is open source and free. If you go for some other softwares, then you need to pay for that. Like there are many paid softwares, SPSS, Minitab, even MATLAB, then this says. So these are all paid softwares are there, which is used for the statistical analysis. But the R is open source and it is available for free. So that is number one reason one should go for learning R. And it is very easy to learn for non-programmer also. So R is a programming language. So if any of you have you doesn't have the programming background, then no need to worry about it, because I also don't have any programming background, even though I'm using R and I'm even using it for my clients as well as I'm providing training on it. So it's very easy to learn for the non-programmer. So that is the number two reason, like one should go for R. And there is a huge community support. For example, if you are writing down your program in R and if you find any difficulty, there is a huge community support is available. So you just go to Google or go to this R community on its website, and then you drop your question within 24 hours or 48 hours, you'll get your answer, because it's this community is, you know, the practicing people who are practicing in, you know, like their day-to-day life. So they know the solution, so they'll be sharing it with you. So there is a huge community support, so it will help you to learn when you are a beginner, or even you are at learning at advanced level. So challenges are always there. So even I work for some of my client, at that time I also need some help. So at that time I can also take help from this community support. So that is a third reason one should go for the R. There are more than 15,000 packages available for free. So again, like what do we mean by the package? So package is nothing but a pre-written program which will perform some specific task. So we are going to see like how to install package and how to use it, and like what are the functionality of the package. So there are different packages are there. So for example, if you want to you know, make a graphic effective, then ggplot2 is one of the package that we are using, right? So if you want to make your graph interactive, then plotly package is there which you can use. If you want to read data from Excel file, then there is a package called read Excel. If you want to import data from, let's say, some SPSS or some other like programming file, so there is a foreign package is there, right? So these are the kind of packages which are available and which are available for free. So you can get, I think, almost you know, every package which you want to perform. So, and it is day by day increasing. So let's say, for example, I find that this kind of package is not available, which can work in, let's say, pharmaceutical domain. So I can develop that. So I can write it down the program and I can submit into the R repository, and then everyone will be able to use it. So that is the package. So it is, you know, day by day it is increasing. Another thing is it is having highly statistical computing ability, because you know, many of the time participants ask me that we should go for the R or Python. So at that time my answer is that, like, if you you know, very rigorous about the statistical tables and statistical computing, at that time you should go for R. But if you are very much keen about the machine learning algorithms and all, then you should prefer Python over R. That is my point of view, but you can also perform this machine learning algorithm in R as well, but that is more simple in that Python. And here statistical analysis, for example, if we perform this ANOVA or hypothesis testing, so at that time we need the, you know, in a table format, like proper this sum of square and the p values and all, so that we properly get in R, that we are not getting in Python. So it is having highly statistical computing ability. Another thing is it is having like attractive packages for graphical analysis. So graphs are always impactful. So whenever you are doing a research, you are, you know, solving a problem, at that time you are presenting your data into graph, then it is going to you know, have it is going to have a level, you know, level up impact where you are presenting it. So several packages are available for that. So one of the packages like ggplot2, which is grammar of graphic, so that we are going to see at the third day. There is another package called plotly, so that is also one can use to make those graph interactive. Interactive means whenever you are, you know, putting your cursor anywhere in the graph, then it should highlight the, you know, value of those particular points. And you can also like you know, zoom the graph, you can also, you know, minimize the graph, and that kind of interactivity you want. So you might have visited that like COVID-19 india.org. So in that also, you know, those interactive graphs are there. So similarly you can make those kind of graph in this R. It is also compatible for machine learning. So you can also perform this machine learning algorithms like decision tree and then random forest and then support vector machine. So all this algorithm you can perform in R as well. And it is having very strong IDE, that is integrated development environment, like RStudio. So R is a programming language and RStudio is IDE, integrated development environment. So it is very strong. Like if you are going for Python, you have multiple choices, like PyCharm is there, then Anaconda is there, Jupyter is there, Spider is there. So these are different IDEs, and many of the time beginners get confused like which one to be used. But here R, then go for the RStudio. That is the straight away answer. So it is very strong ID, and we are going to use this RStudio. So you'll have that idea like how much it is familiar, or you can say easy to learn. Another is like it is useful for the web application. So you can also develop web application in R. So there are several packages like Shiny Dashboard, Flex Dashboard. Those packages you can use and you can develop your web application. I created some of the web applications. So if time permit, then I'll just show you. We are not going to cover how to develop web application, but I'll show you if time permits that how it works. So you can have idea like that is the range of the R, and it is used in almost every industry. So we are also, some of the orders are in the pipeline, like process industry or the chemical industry and the pharma industry. They are also started using this. So it is almost used in every industry, and it is also having the cross platform compatibility. Like you can use it in let's say Windows, Linux, and then this Mac also you can use it. So it is having the cross platform compatibility. So these are some of the reasons which will motivate anyone to learn this R language. Now, like you might have a question like what are the career opportunity for the R programmers? So I have opened this page. So you can just click on this link. I have shared this material with you. So you can visit it. So let me just show you what are the opportunities. So you can see here, I have just searched it for Mumbai, Maharashtra. So it is the job which is posted 13 hours ago. It is 13 hours ago. So you can see it is in Accenture. Then this is data science analytics in L&T. Then again the same company. Then Brinjal Excellence. So you can just scroll it down. There is huge opportunity for this R programmers. So if anyone wants to develop a career in data science, then they should learn this R, Python, and this kind of languages. So R is one of them, and you can see the demand of them. And if you just if you want to search it for your region, then you can simply go there and you can update the location, and you can see like the job opportunity in your region. Now again, let me go to the slides, and this is the salary package that R programmers are getting. So these are different designations. Like R programmer can be data scientist, business analyst, data analyst, data visualization expert, quantitative analysis expert. And the data the data which is shown here, I have collected from this data-flare.training. So they conducted a research, and from that I have used this data. So you can see there is a annual package is very like these are the starting salary, you can say. And for this data scientist, it may be like after a few years of experience. So it's also a huge or you can say a handsome package that the people are getting for this R programmer. This is another website like payscale.com. So there you can see this average package is given. So it is more than 7 lakhs per annum, right? And it is for the India. And you can also visit this link to get updated one. It may be like 1 month before scenario. This is again from the pay scale. So you can see the designations like data scientist, data analyst, analytics manager. It is for the Ahmedabad, Gujarat. You can change your location and you can get like updates for you. So that's why I put the link so that you can also go and visit for your location and for your convenience. And this is also taken from the data flare training. So it is given like country wise. So highest demand is in US. I was just before 2 days I was discussing with one of my client in US. So he was asking like how you are teaching and how you are working and all. So at that time I mentioned all these credentials which I or the state modeler is perceived. So at that time he mentioned that there is a huge demand in US, and they are not getting the right people for this kind of job. So there is a huge opportunity over there. So it is given country wise, and here India is there. You can see where it is. Yeah. So it is emerging fields, right? So here you can see there are salary that they are getting very high. Some of the people are there, right? So they are getting the highest salary, and it is having emerging field. So demand is increasing over there. Now these are the companies which are using R. So you can see very well-known companies are there who are using this R over there. So this is a background of this, why one should learn R and what the factors that can motivate you to learn this programming language. Now let us jump into the R, which is, main agenda or main topic that we are going to cover. So R is a language, basically a programming language, which is used for the statistical computing and graphical analysis. And it is quite similar to the S language, which was developed by the Bell Laboratories previously. And it provides not only the statistical, but also some of the linear and non-linear modeling, statistical test you can perform into it. You can perform time series analysis. So whenever you are dealing with the temporal data, at that time you should go for the time series analysis. So R is also having the functionality where you can perform this time series analysis. You can also go for the classification. So classification and clustering is some of the techniques which are used in machine learning. So that also you can perform, like logistic regression, then this KNN algorithm. So that all you can perform in the R. It is available for free, so that already we have discussed, and it is available for Windows and Mac, that also we have discussed. Now why it is called R? Why not other this alphabet? So mainly because of this two person, Robert Gentleman and Rose Ihaka. So they created this language called R. They are the people from the University of Auckland in New Zealand. So that is why it is, and both the names like Robert and Rose, that is starting from R. So that is why it is known as an R language. Now this is just a little about the R. So R is a programming language. Then what do we mean by the R Studio? So RStudio is also free and open source, which is available for free. And also, if anyone wants to go for some commercial license, then also they can go for commercial license. Let me mute some of the people. So R is also available for free and open source, and RStudio is known as a integrated development environment, that is IDE. So we don't need to go into the technical detail of what is IDE, but basically you can understand, like IDE is one of the software which will work on the top of any base language. So base language that we are going to use is R, and on the top of it, RStudio is the environment or the uh, graphic user interface that we are going to use. So it is very effective, and ultimately as a programmer or as an analyst, it will boost up your productivity. And also this RStudio is also available for this desktop as well as server edition. So if some organizations wants to go for it, then they can go for the server edition, which is paid one. But as an individual, we don't need to pay a single penny to use this R as well as RStudio. And again, it is available for this desktop and server. So for server, it is available for Linux only. Now these are the links from where you can download and install your RStudio, R and RStudio. So first of all, we need to install our R, and then you should go for RStudio. So I've already shared the link or video guideline to install this R and RStudio in your system. So I hope everyone has installed that, and if it is not installed, then please install it so that you can also practice along with me. Now once we open this R and RStudio, at that time, what are the screens that you are seeing, and what are the name of those screen? So once you open this R, so it will look like this, or you may have only just this kind of screen, like which is shown over here. Let me just highlight it. So you may see this kind of screen, right? So which is R console when you open it. Okay. So whenever you open this R, at that time you can see this kind of screen which is known as a R console. So that is R console. And whenever you want to write down your program, at that time you need to go to this file menu and open a new editor or the script. So that is known as a R editor or R script. And here you can write down all your code and it will execute over here only. And if you want to first write down your code and then you want to run it, then you should use this R editor. So we are going to see both the things practically. So let me open my R environment. So see, it will look like this, and this is the version detail as well as some of the things like some of the popular command which is written over here, and you can just stretch it out, like if you want to maximize or minimize this thing, then you can do that. Here I can use it as a calculator, you can say. Let me just increase the font size if possible. Yes. So let's say if I press simply Control L, then all this the standard instruction will be disappear. And now I can use this as a calculator as also, like 5 plus 5, then it will return me the total of both this thing. Let's say 5 divided by 2, then it will return me the output. 5 minus 3, then it will return like this. 5 multiplied by 2, then it will return me the multiplication of both these things. 5 square, then 5 kept 2. So you can get like this. Now if you want to just go to the upper one, then you don't need to write down 5 plus 5 again. You can simply just press up arrow, then you will be able to access recent commands that you have used. So 5 plus 5 is here. I can just go and do like that. So this is how you can use. I'm just showing, like we are going into the detail of like how can we import data and all that, but we are just scratching what is R and how it can be used. So this is called console, and where you cannot save it, so it will only perform and give you the output. But to save this program, what you can do, you can go to this file menu, you can click on this new script. So you can see here the new page is open. So let me just minimize it so that we can see it side by side, right? So here it is editor and here it is console. And if I want to organize this, then I can go to this windows and tile horizontally. So it looks like on the top of that the R editor is there, and below is the console is there. So now what I can do is I can simply write down 5 plus 5, and if I press enter, then nothing will happen. 5 minus 3, enter, nothing will happen. 5 divided by 2, nothing will happen. 5 into 2, nothing will happen if I press enter. Then how can we do that? So I can just go to this line, I can press Control R. So you can see here now it is executed. Let me just clear the console and then show it to you. So 5 plus 5, Control R, then it will execute and it will automatically come to the next line. Then again I can press Control R, then it will execute this 5 minus 3, and now my cursor is at third line. If I press Control R, then it will perform this 5 divided by 2. If I again press Control R, then it will multiply this 5 into 2. So likewise I can do that. And if I want to execute it at all, like in one go I want to execute it, then how can we do that? So let me first of all clear the screen. I can select all of them and press Control R. So you can see here in console, every operation is performed over here, right? And now I want to save this program, because let's say I have developed this program for my client and I want to give it to them. So console cannot be saved. So what I can do is I can write it down in editor. I can simply press Control S, or you can go to this file and then save. And here on the desktop, I can write it down like test.r. Now what do we mean by .r? It will identify like it is a R programming file. So as we have .doc, that is for Microsoft document, that is Word, .xls for Excel, .csv for comma separated value, Similarly, here the extension is .r, so that we have to use, and let me save it. And now let me close this, and again I want to open that file. I can just go to this file, open script, go to this desktop. I can find out that file text, open it. So it is open. So likewise you can save file in R, but we mostly going to use RStudio. So let us go there. So this is a brief about this R. Now let us move ahead in the RStudio. So let me close it. So when you open this RStudio, at that time this kind of screen will be visible, or many of the time this untitled, this section will not be there. So this section will not be there. Only this window, and this window are there, right? So what do we mean by that? So it is as same as, let me just clear it out. It is same as R editor or the R script that we have just seen. So you can write down your program over here and then you can execute it. And this is the console. So this is our console, which we have already seen, right? So these are the two windows which we are familiar with. But what do we mean by this window and this window? So here it is known as a global environment, or one of the section from where you can manage your variables and the data. So ultimately this is the environment, RStudio environment, where all your information will be saved, right? So what you can do, you can import data set from here. So it is same like a software, right? So you can just go to this import data set and just click on the CSV and then go and navigate to the file, and then you can import it. You don't need to write down the code. So that facility is given by this RStudio. In R, you have to write down the code itself. You can also, whatever variables that you are generating in your this console or this script, that can be viewed from here, that can be visible over here. So here you can see this DAT. So that one data frame I have imported, which is having 234 observation and 11 variables into it, and another name which is data, that is 32 observation and 11 variables are there. So likewise, whatever object that you are creating, that will be appeared here, and from here you can manage it. And you can also have the history. So for example, by mistake I have deleted some commands. So how can we retrieve that? So that all will be saved in the history. So anytime you can retrieve from the history. And whenever you want to connect it with the database or server, at that time you can go to this connection tab. So here connection tab is there. So you can go there and you can connect it with your server. And there is a broom, right? So let me just show it to you. This is known as a broom. So what you can do is, by clicking on this, you can clear this environment. So you can broom it out, you can clean it out by pressing this command. Similarly, that broom is here also. So you can use that. So that is the global environment. And as we go along with the practical session, you'll be able to know, and we'll be discussing all this aspect. And the last section, which is having multi-purpose use. So you can see the files. So from here itself, you can navigate to your entire computer. So your C drive or D drive or desktop or any folder, you can go over there. Whenever you create some graphics, so at that time plot output will be appeared here in this plot section. And you can also manage your packages from here, package section. So you just click on that, you can just navigate to the packages that you want to install, just click on install and you'll have that package. So we are going to see it practically. And this is help. So it is also having a beautiful, or you can say extensive help functionality, so that you can find out any of the function which you want to use in R. There is a documentation, or proper documentation is available that you can use to learn it. And this viewer, some of the packages is using this. So whenever you want to, let's say, web application, so you can choose this viewer to open that application in that panel. So that is a kind of little bit advanced type of thing that we are not going to use it right now, but many of the functions that they are going to use it over here. I request every participants, please do not unmute yourself, because every time I need to go to that panel and I need to mute all. So at the last, I'll ask you to unmute if any query is there. Now this is the environment of RStudio. Now how can we create a new script? Let's say when you open this, let me open that and show it to you. Let me first of all close it. RStudio is there. So when I open it, it is looking like this. So you might be observing that console is there, but environment is not visible. But here you can see those buttons like minimize and maximize. So let me just click on that. So that thing has went to the down, or it is minimized, right? So I want both, so I can click on that. And currently in my global environment, these are the variables which are available. So I was just performing some of the analysis, so all these variables are available. I can access over there, right? So I can just click on that and then it will show you what it contains. So this is the console. So let me first of all clean this, Control L, and I want to open a new file. So how can I do that? So I can go to this file, new file, and here R script is there. So I can simply click on that, or there is a shortcut which is given, Control Shift N. So that also you can use. So once I do that, here you can see the untitled one is written over there, and here the console is there. So here ditto we can perform which we perform in R. So here I can in console write down 5 plus 5, it will give you 10. Here I can write down this 5 divided by 3, then it will give you the answer. So likewise you can use it. Similarly, I can write down that program over here, 5 plus 5, enter, nothing is happened. 5 divided by 2, nothing is happened. So let me clean the console first of all by pressing Control L, and I can run this. Now to run here in RStudio, Control R will not work. Please note it. Control R will not work. You need to press Control plus Enter. So once I press Control plus Enter, at that time it will execute. And here one button is also given, like you can run this from this button, right? So button, the name of the button itself is Run. So you can just click click on that and it will run that program. And if you want to run it entirely, then select all them, click on the run, it will execute it over here, right? So this is how we can use. So we are familiar with this too. Now the question is, so if someone has created file in that R, and now I am using RStudio, then is it possible to use that file in RStudio? The answer is yes, we can do that, because RStudio is also working on the base of let's say R, right? So what I can do is I can just go to this file, open file, or I can press Control O, and then I can navigate to that file. So it is on the desktop, as we know. It is, let's say, test.r. Here the file is there, right? So let me open that, and here you can see all the programs are there. So let me just increase the size. Yeah. And now I can use this file. I can simply, let me first of all clear the console, and then I can show you how I can run this. So I can click on this run button, and you can see here everything has been run over here. So this is how we can use R file into RStudio, and it doesn't make any difference. You can use it seamlessly. And this is our environment history. So you can see here whatever we performed just now. So you can see how too many commands, like I don't remember when I used it, how many days before I used it. So I can retrieve this, like I can retrieve all these packages if I want. I can retrieve this. How can I retrieve this? By simply click on that command, and do you want this in console or to source? So I want into the source. Source means this script file. So you can see here that command has been automatically came over here. So likewise I can use this history over there. let's say this, if you want to connect it with your database, so you can go to this connection, click on new connect, and you can find two options, ODBC and Sparks. So that is the advanced part. We are not going to cover it, but that facility is there. You can use this. And from here you can see I can navigate to, like desktop or any other drive that there I want to go. So I can, click on this three dots. I can go to this, let's say client, and there this basics of data analytics using R. So I have created one folder for this training program. So I can click on open over there. So you can see here PDF file is there which I sent to you, then zip file that is there, the day 1, day 2, that files are there, then this example data sets are there. So I can view any of the folder from here. I don't need to minimize all these windows and then go to some my computer and then I can use it, right? And whenever I use some I create the plots, so at that time I can see those plots over here. So for a sample, let me just create a plot. We are going to see plot in detail, but I'm just showing you how you will be able to see it over here. So let me just create a variable which is I have created this variable, and now I am just making a histogram of it. So you can see here the graph is immediately appeared over here in the plot section. And whenever you are dealing with multiple graphs, at that time this navigation arrows are there. So you can forward it, or you can go to backward or previous flow, right? So let me change some of the values and plot another graph. Now there are two graphs, so I can just click on this arrow and then I'll have this previous graph or this current graph and all. I can even zoom it, so you can have this kind of view. You can also export this, export as an image. So it will ask you like PNG, JPG, TIFF, BMP. So whichever is comfortable to you, you can select it. Generally PNG and JPG is used, so that will be save in the directory. Directory means working directory that we are going to see. And you can also give the file name. So here let's say histogram, and where I want to save it, on the desktop, right? Save it. Now if you go to the desktop, you may see this histogram is there, right? So likewise you can use that export also. And then packages. So from here you can install or activate your packages. So what do we mean by those packages? So it is something like the application that we are using in our mobile phone. So first of all, we need to download it from the Play Store, and whenever we want to use, we need to open that application, or we need to activate that application. So here also, these are the user library. So these are the packages which I have installed in my the system. And whenever you install R and RStudio, at that time some of the packages are by default will be installed along with this RStudio installation. But let's say I want to install a new package, which is, let's say, Plotly. So if I can just go to this install, and here I can just type it down the name like Plotly. So you can see it is suggesting that are you looking for this. So here you can see Plotly is there, and simply I can click on the install. Now you can see here that install dependencies is by default it is having the check mark. That means to run this package there are several dependencies. That means prerequisites are there, that if you want to run this Plotly, then dplyr package has to be there, or some other package has to be there. So it will automatically check. You don't need to know that what are the dependencies. You just need to put a check mark over there. It will by default check what are the dependencies for this Plotly package, and it will directly install in your system. And whenever we are installing the packages, at that time internet connectivity is required, and that is one time. So whenever we are, it is something like that, we are downloading an application from the Play Store or Web Store. So at that time internet will be required, right? So we can click on the install. It is already installed, so I'm not clicking on it. See, it has started by mistake. I clicked on that, and you can see here it has started installing it. So 2.9 MB file is there, and it has successfully installed. And once you get this kind of arrow over here, at that time you can consider that your package is successfully installed. And now where you can find it out? So you can find out from here. So it will be here in this list, or I can just search in this box. You can see here Plotly is there, right? Plotly, create interactive web graphics via plotly.js. It is written in JavaScript, but we can use it over here. And you can click on this Plotly to see, its documentation. So here all this, arguments or the functionalities are given. So you can read it out if you want to go into the detail of this Plotly. And another thing is, I want to activate it because I have just downloaded it. It doesn't mean that you can use it. So how can I activate it? By clicking on this checkbox, and you can see here, like by default it will write down command for you, library into bracket Plotly. So this is the command to activate any package. But when you click on this, it will directly do that. And these are just a warning. It is not error message. It is a warning. So some of the time, like it is having the same name which is used in ggplot2 as well as it is used in this Plotly. So at that time it will mask some of the packages. So this is a warning. We don't need to worry about it. So that is the package section. And here you can use this help. Now how can we use this help? By go to this help, and then you can search here in this topic, like I want to know more about this histogram. So I can just type hist, then it will suggest me. You can see here histogram description is given. What is the command, that is also given here. Some of the syntax is given here for the sample purpose. And what are the arguments, like here x is written. Now what do we mean by that x? So that is given over here. The description of each of the argument which is used in this function, that is given here. Then all these things are given. And yeah, you can have the theory part of it also, like how this the definition of histogram and that things also you can view it over here. There are some of the interlinks are also given. You can use that. And reference are also written over here, from which book or which sources this information is brought to you. So that is also written over here. And it is also suggesting some of the topics that you should look at it. And one example is also given, like this. You can simply copy and paste over there. So the syntax is given over there. So this is how you can use its help file. Let's say if you want to create a matrix, so you can simply search matrix. So it will give you all the details about it. If you want to use, let's say, you want to find out the summary of your data, you can just search summary. So it will tell you that what are the commands that you should use, right? So this is how we are going to use this RStudio, and it will boost up your productivity, because in R it is difficult to manage this package and all. So you need to write down code every time and then run the codes and all. But here we don't need to do that. Now to access the help, there is another functionality. Let me show it to you also. Let's say here I'm just writing it down like help into hist. You can see it will take me to the same page. So any of the topic, you can simply write down help into bracket this topic over here, then it will take you over there. So let's say summary. And you can see here, whenever we write down at least 3 characters, after that it starts suggesting. So let's say SUM, it has started suggesting like, are you looking for this? Are you looking for this? This facility is available in R Studio. It is not available in R. In R, it is not suggesting. So you need to memorize those codes, and it is also case sensitive language. So I cannot use like capital S and then summary, right? I cannot use that. So if I type down like this, you can see here it will take me to the summary page. There is third option also there. I can simply put a question mark, because we are having question about that function. So put a question mark and then write down hist. It will take you to the same page. So there are three ways to use help. One is you can write down help command. You can use this question mark sign, and you can go to this help and then type your topic. So this is how we are going to use this R Studio and its help. Now let us move ahead in our topic. So this is the interface and like some of the important menus of R Studio, and this is how you can create a new script file that we already seen it. Now some of the important aspect where which you need to remember about R language. So commands and variables are case sensitive. So if you write down like M-A-L-E, mail, in a small letter, and you now whenever you need that variable again, at that time you are searching by capital M-A-L-E, then it will not be able to find, because it is a case sensitive language, right? And to assign a variable, so for example, I have a data, as I use that to build a histogram. So I am having a data of age of 10 people. Then I want to create a variable called age. So how can I do that? So I can use this this sign, which is known as less than and hyphen sign, or you can simply use this equal to. So it would be something like this, like age, and then I can write down like C. C means concatenate, or you can say combine. Let's say 20 years, 22 years, 25 years, 30 years, like that. So what it will do, it is a name of the variable, right? And now whenever I need to access this data, at that time simply I will write down age and run this, right, by pressing that control enter, or I can click on that button which is run. But here, instead of this age, if I write down like this, then it will not be able to find out and give you the error that age object is not found, right? Another option which I can use is age equal to C and then 20, 22, 25. Both the things will perform the same task. So it's up to you, whichever is comfortable to you, this or this. So it's up to you. I'm using both the things, but majority of the time I'm using this sign. So it is easy to identify. We have assigned some values to some variables. And whenever we want to use comment, like this program is written and I want to give a comment, so that whenever my client is referred to this program, or later on stage after 3 months or 6 months, if I refer to this program, then I should have idea about it. So I can simply put a hashtag, and then I can write down my comment, like for example, this is age data of school A, right? So whenever I see this variable, at that time this comments will support me to understand like what is it about, right? So we can use this hashtag to make a comments in R programming. And variable name should not be start with the number. So I cannot give like 0, 1 and then age. It won't work. I can give like this, age 0, 1. It is possible, but 0, 1 age, so it should not start with the numbers. And spaces are also not considered over here. But if it is, let's say, when you are importing, at that time spaces are there, it will import your data. It will not give you any error, but it is spaces must be avoided because how it will confuse. Age, let's say male. So whenever you are using this later on, at that time you need to give that punctuation mark over here, because there is a space, right? So punctuation mark means the key which is before one numeric, like in keyboard, one number key is there, just before that one tilde sign is there. So you need to use that punctuation mark over there. So to avoid that, what you can do is you can simply write down age underscore male. underscore is acceptable. So age underscore male, and then you can give whatever, and whenever you want to recall it, you can simply write down this and you can recall it. Now let's say I want to replace it with some other name. Then what I can do is, one variable is created, let's say age variable is already created. Now I want to replace it with age underscore male. Then what I can do is age underscore male and then assignment sign, and then I can write down the age. What it will do, it will override this values or the name, right? So now whenever I want to call it, I can call it by age underscore male. So this is how some of the important commands or the important notes that we should take care. And whenever we write something in this quotation, so if I write down like this, so let's say name and then C into bracket, I am writing like Hiren, right? So whenever I use this single quote or double quote, it will work both the way. I can also write down like this, then also it is fine. So whenever single quote or double quote are there, at that time it will consider it as a character value. Character means alphabets are there, so that will be considered like that. Now some of the unique features about R language. So it just not process the statistics. It also suitable for non-statistical tasks like data visualization and web application and data processing. It is also used in natural language processing, like let's say this Twitter analysis and all these things you can perform in R. So I want to do a sentiment analysis, like how the mood is there of Donald Trump. So I can download those tweets and I can analyze those by using some of the NLP package, natural language processing packages, and I can find out, and I can create a word cloud and all. And it is also used in like genetics, biology, and this market research field also. And it runs codes without compiler. So if you are aware about the C and C++, so what it will do, it will take your code to the compiler, and then it will compile your program, and then it will execute. So here there is no compiler. So whatever code that you are giving, it will straight away give you the output. So it runs without a compiler, and that is why it is so much fast. Now, one of the important aspect of this is setting up working directory, because working directory is what, like whenever you install this R or RStudio, at that time it will by default set working directory. That is the folder. Working directory means a folder which it is referring to. So all your data will be by default saved over there. So that is your working directory. But let's say if I want to change it, how can I do that? So there is command as well as some steps that you need to perform. So for example, I want to know about my current working directory, so I can use this command which is known as a getwd. Now getwd means what? Get working directory, and simply open and close this bracket. It will give you a path like what is your current working directory. Now I want to change it to some other folder. So what I can do, I can copy that path and write this command set wd. So it is get means I want to know, set means I want to set. So set wd into bracket, you can give your path wherever you want to change, and once you run this command, then it will change your working directory. Now what is the benefit of it? Let me show you practically. So let me use this getwd, and whenever you start any bracket, it will automatically add the closing of the bracket. So I have just pressed that opening of the bracket, it has automatically taken that closing of the bracket. And if I run this, so you can see by default it is C drive, users, state modeler, and documents. So that is the default path. Now I want to set this. Which one? I'll go to this my computer, this clients, and here this basics of data analytics, the folder it is there, because I want to access this file. So I can just click on the here on this search bar or the path bar. I can simply copy this. I can copy this, and I can go to this R, and now I can use this set wd. And whenever you write any 3 character of any command, you will see it will suggest you that are you looking for this command, and whenever you hover over to that command, you can see here what this command will do. So that the short description is given over there, and you can simply press F1 for the additional help. So let me put my this path over here in the set WD, and the path is in string, so I need to mention in the double quotation. So let me paste it over here. Now here, when I click this, at that time it is creating a problem. It is giving me the error. Now why it is the error is given? Because escape character is unrecognized. So that means here you can see in the get WD how it is backward slash are used, right? So backward slashes are used to separate out this folder. So here you can see, but whenever we copied that path, at that time it is copied forward slashes. So we need to change it. How can we do that? Simply I can press up arrow. I can come to each of this and convert into this backward slash. And now if I press enter, now there is no error. And now if I see this get WD, you can see whatever path that we had given, it is available there, right? Now what is the benefit of it? You can see here when I set this working directory, the folder is visible over here, so I can access all this file from here. Now whenever I want to access some of the data, at that time I don't need to write down entire path. How can I access that? So just this command we are going to see when we import the data, but let's say read.csv, and here I want to access this hypertension CSV, right? So if this working directory is not set, I need to write down this entire path here in the read.csv. But here what I need to do, I simply type this hyper and press tab. Let me just CSV, and here I can simply yes, the file name is in the it is a string, so we need to mention in the quotation. So I just type hyper, and then I press tab, which is just above the caps lock. So you can see here there are two files which start with this hyper. One is CSV and another one is Excel. So I can simply select this, and I can just click OK, and this data will be available here. So we are going to see how to import data, but what I am showing is once you set your working directory, at that time you don't need to copy the path. Now let's say I want to import this data which is available here, this sample invoices, or let's say this test number. This test number is there, right? So that is the CSV file. I want to import that in my R environment. Now how can I do that? So first of all I need to read.csv. Then if I type this test, it is not able to find anything, right? So what I need to do, I need to go to this test number, right click on this properties, and from here I can copy this path. So it is available at C drive, user, state modeler, desktop. Copy that, Control C, and then go to this RStudio environment, read.csv. There I need to mention the path, change that to this backslash, and here I need to give the name of the file, so slash test number, right? CSV test number, yes. So here you can see it is available. Now you can able to import it. So this is the longest procedure. So whenever I do work for my client, at that time client wise folders are there. So for that particular client, I used to set that working directory. So whenever I use that working directory, it will save a lot of time. So So that's why working directory is very useful command over there. So that is how we can do that. Another thing, like how can we set that working directory is, let me just go to the let's say I want to make this desktop as a working directory. So I can go to this section where file is there. I can click on these three dots, then navigate to this desktop, open it, and here you can see whatever data which is available on the desktop, which is shown here. Now I can go to this more is there, right? So more, and then there is an option called set as working directory. Just click over there. It will automatically type command for you. You don't need to type that. You don't need to worry about that backslash and forward slash and all. And now if I access that test numbers, then it will be very convenient for me. So read.csv into bracket test number, you can see here I don't need to give entire path. So that is how we can use this working directory concept, and which will be very much helpful and effective, and it will boost up your productivity. Now let us move ahead in our next topic. So where we are going to see the data types in R. Let me have a sip of water. Okay. So what are the data types in R? So one is numeric. It may be integer, it may be float. So R is identified as a numeric data. So it may be like 5, 6, the whole number, or it may be 5.3, 5.356, something like that. So it is known as a numeric data in R environment. Whenever you are using like string data, at that time it will identify it as a character data. Whenever you are using a Boolean value or dichotomous like true false, 0 1 value, at that time it is known as a logical values. The fourth type is factor. So for example, we are using that gender data like male and female, so only two categories are there, so it will by default considered as a factor. So for categorical data it will considered as a factor. And the fourth one is complex number. So it is having with the imaginary value of I, so that you can use, but we are not going into the detail of complex number. Practically we are going to use this numeric, character, logical and factor, so we'll go into the detail of it. Now based on this data type and its nature, data structure is there in the R. So here what difference you can find out with these two boxes. So one is like here you can see similar type of color or the bowls are there, and here mixed type of bowls are there. So based on the similarity and non-similarity, the names are given like homogeneous type of structure and heterogeneous type of structure. So homogeneous means it is same in nature. So if it is numeric, then all the data are available in numbers. And let's say, what do we mean by the heterogeneous type of data? So let's say it may be string, it may be numbers, it may be factor, something like that. It is a kind of a mixture, right? So like this is the definition which is given. Homogeneous data means it must be of the same type, and it is also known as a atomic data, right? So let's say if it is a numeric, then all the data are numeric. So we have generated one vector of age. So all the data available in that age vector is known as a homogeneous type, because all contains those numbers only, right? If we have created a vector of name, then it is also called homogeneous type of data, because all the data is available in character type. And the logical, factor, any of the like, but it should be similar. So that is known as a homogeneous structure. What do we mean by the heterogeneous structure? So it is also known as a generic type of data, and whenever it is a mix up kind of thing, like if you are collecting information about me, then herein that is a string data, right? Now you are writing down my age, then it is a numeric data. If you are writing down like my gender, then it may be a factor data. So it is like that. So it is a mixture of all. So that is known as a heterogeneous data in R. Now these structures can be divided into another 5 parts. So One can be known as a vector. So what do we mean by the vector? Vector is a simplest type of data structure in R. So it is, in one direction, like age. So age is only, containing a one info, that vector is containing only one information. Then matrix is there. So matrix is like rows and columns. So it is a combination of rows and columns. So it is known as a matrix. Then array. Array means it is, like on the top of, in matrix only rows and columns are there, but if there are, more than two dimensions, so here rows and columns are only two dimensions, but let's say if more than two dimensions are there, then it is known as an array. Example of every this data structure we are going to see. So if you are not getting this definition, then don't worry, I'll show it to you practically. Then list. So list means it is similar to the vector, but it is not homogeneous type, it is heterogeneous type. So it contain, numeric as well as character as well as vector type of data. So it can be combination of, more than one data type. In the data frame, so it is a table or the two-dimensional array, you can say. It is data frame is the same as, we are collecting data in Excel sheet or the CSV file. So it is known as a data frame. So where the tabular format is there, where, row in row the numbers or the observations are given, in the columns the variables are given. So it is quite similar to that. Now this vector, matrix and array, that is all homogeneous type. That means it contains similar type of data, but list and data frame can have, like it is a heterogeneous type of data. So it can have any type of data in it. So now let us see how this vector is created, how this matrix is created, how this array is created. And before moving ahead with the creating all these things, let us understand it with the example and then create it. So you can see here the vector is, given. So let's say I was giving the example of age. So let's say age vector is there, and here, different numbers are given. So it is numeric, right? So it is a homogeneous type of data structure. It is a matrix where, this rows and columns are given. So it contains some of the information in row, some of the information in the column. So it is row by column, you can say. So let's say practical example, then I'm having data of this male, female, and their, smoking habit, like whether they are smoker or non-smoker. Right? So this is, 2 by 2 matrix. It can be, let's say, 3 by 3 matrix. It can be 2 by 4 matrix. It can be anything, like whatever categories that you are studying. But here you can see the data, all the data are in numbers, or it will be in a similar type. So that is why it is known as a homogeneous structure. And third one, which is known as an array. So this is only two-dimensional, like rows and columns. So here another dimension, like rows and columns, plus one additional information is also given. So how can we, handle in this R? So by using the array function. Now, if you see the practical example of it, then I'm having this kind of data where I have collected data of this male, female, and their smoking habit. That is for company A. Now I have collected this data for 3 different companies. So it's company B, company C. Likewise, let's say it can be n number of companies. So it is multi-dimensional array, right? So the structure is known as an array, and it is multi-dimensional data. But here you can see, ultimately it is all of the same type, and that is why it is known as a homogeneous type of structure. If we look at the list and data frame, then list can contain, any of the information. So let's say this is about person 1. So his name is Samir. So it is this character vector. It is in numbers, his age, right? So that is in numeric vector. This male, it's again, you can say it is a vector. And let's say it's smoking habit, then again it's a vector, yes or no kind of thing, right? So this is the list. So you can see it is a different types of data in only this one list. So it can be, given a name like list 1 or list 2 or list like person A, person B. something like that. You can give name to this data set. Now this data frame, so it is nothing but this kind of tabular form which we are habitual to see our data in this type of format. And why we are seeing all these things? Because it is going to be helpful for us when we'll go into the data analytics and all. Otherwise our journey will start from importing data into our environment itself. But these are also important points that we should learn. So here you can see this is character vector, this name, age is a numeric vector, gender is a, let's say, vector, smoker yes or no, vector, right? So it contains like different types of data in one data frame, and that is why it is known as a heterogeneous type of data structure. Now this is some of the basic things about the R and its data structure. Now let us create this vector. How can we do that? So one file is given to you. You can open that file if you want to perform along with me, or you can just see whatever I am performing, and then like in a homework you can execute that file, right? So first of all, let me open that file. I can set first of all working directory as discussed. So let me go to this client, this basics of data analytics, open this, and I'm setting it as a working directory. Now let me open this file, create data structure in R. If I simply just click on that, it will open over here. I don't need this at this point of time, so I'm just expanding my window size, and you can see here I've used this hashtags just to have a label. That's it. Nothing, there is nothing to do with the real programming. So I just wanted to make it beautiful. So I use so many hashtags over there to give a label of this vector, because I'm starting with this topic. So first of all, we are going to start with the simple vector. So I have again given the single hashtag and started my line. So it is not going to execute, right? So it is it will show you that it is not going to execute anything. What it will execute is 125. So whatever the command that written over here, so it is known as a vector. Let me simply run this. You can see here what it has done. So if I write down like 1 through 5, so that means 1 colon 5, so it will generate number from 1 to 5. If I write down like this, here I'm writing down in console. So if I write down like this 1 through 100, you can see 100 numbers are generated in a sequence, right? So I can store this value in some other variables. So let me show it to you. How can we do that? So I can write down, let's say D1. I'm just giving a random name. You can give any of the name, and then I can use this less than sign and hyphen, and then I can use this 1 through 100. So nothing has happened. Nothing has been displayed. Why? Because we have assigned this values to this variable, which is known as a D1. So now if I want to access these values, then how can I do that? By pressing D1 and press enter. It will give you those values each and every time. I don't need to write down this 1 gem 100. And let's say there are several variables that I generated. So how can I get a track of it? So I can just go to this environment, and here you can see D1 is there. So there are so many variables, so it may get it create a confusion. So let me just clear all these things, and now let me again run that. Yes. Here you can see this D1, which is of integer type, and 1 through 100 is there, and you can see some of the sample values are shown here. 1, 2, 3, like some of the samples observations are shown to you. So that is how you can create a simple vector. So it is a numeric type, right? Now let's say you might have a question that each and every time I don't need to generate like in a sequence 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. I want to use some different values. So how can I do that? So here the vector 2, that name is given. This is the name as I given like D2 or D1. Similarly, it is vector 2. and I can use this assignment operator. This is known as an assignment operator, which is less than an hyphen sign. And then I can use this C command. C command means combine or concatenate. And here I can give any of the value. Here I'm just showing you 5 values, but you can give 500 values if you want to give. And if simply I run this, then you can see here vector 2 is generated over here, right? And whenever I want to access this value, at that time simply I can run that, right? So you can get this. Now I want to add, let's say, one constant value into each of the values in this vector. So how can I do that? So I can simply write down this vector. I'm writing down in console because I don't want to save this. I'm just showing it to you. So I'm writing down vector 2 plus 2 because I want to add 2 in each of the values. Now you can see here. So first value is 10. So 10 plus 2, that is 12. 8 plus 2, that is 10. 5 plus 2. So it has added, one constant which I had given. It can be any value, like you can give, let's say, 15. Then it will work like quickly. It won't take that much of time. So this is how you can, do that. That is the vector you can generate, and it is known as a numeric vector because it holds numbers. Now let's say if you want to create a character vector. So here the syntax is given. So syntax is same. Whenever you want to create a vector, you should use that C command, right? So I have given the name that char vec, that is character vector. So char underscore vec. And here I have given like C into bracket, the name of the people are given. And whenever we are using any, we want to give any string argument or string values, at that time we should use single quote or double quote. So I've used here double quotes. Now let me run this. Now you can see here character vector has been generated over here in the environment. You can see here CHR, that means character is given, and 1 through 5, that means 5 values are there in this vector, and Hiren, Mehul, Rajesh, it is showing over there. And whenever I want to access this data, at that time what I can do, simply char underscore vec, I can just run that command, or I can type it down over here. And it will, fetch you that data. Now, similarly, you can, create a logical vector. So logical means true or false. So please remember, in R, whenever you want to create a logical, you want to give a logical argument, or you want to create some logical values, at that time you should write down true in capital, false also in capital. Like if you type like this, then it will not work for you. So true is not defined, it will tell you, right? So you have to write down in capital, or simply you can, use this first initials like T or F in capital. So here I've written like T, F, F, T like this. I can simply run this. So you can see here logical vector has been created, and here like this is, showing you the type of data. So logical is the type, and here true, false. And by default, whenever you print this, it will by default, make T to true, F to false. By default, it will do like that. So this is how you can create a vector. Now let us create a matrix. So matrix is a, number of rows and columns. So how can we do that? So let's say I'm giving a name M1, and then I'm using this command. For vector we were using C. Similarly here, command for creating a matrix, the name of command itself is a matrix. Now in matrix, I'm generating a sequence like 1 through 9, and then I'm asking R to design in 3 by 3 matrix. So number of rows, that is n row is equal to 3, n call means column. So n call is equal to 3. So it will arrange all your number in 3 by 3 matrix. So let me run this. And if I again run this M1, then you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 to 9 values is arranged in 3 by 3 matrix. So you have to ensure that whatever values that you are giving as an input, that should be in the multiple of this rows and columns. So here at least 9 values must be there. So that you need to take care. Another thing is like I don't want it to be filled by like, you know, 1, 2, 3. I want like this 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I want, you know, to feel like this. Then what I need to do is I need to add one more argument like by row is equal to true, because whenever, you know, you are giving this element, so I'm, you know, giving R that 9 elements are there, 9 values are there, and I'm just, you know, asking him to make 3 rows. So that means what? It will automatically, you know, calculate the number of columns needs to be generated. I don't need to give that argument. And by row, that means, do you want to fill it by row? Yes, I want to fill it by row because I want like this 1, 2, 3. So first row it will be filling, then 4, 5, 6. So by row I want to fill it. So how can I do that? So this M2 I am creating, just simply running it, and again print this M2. So now you can see here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Likewise, it is given. You can also, you know, give name which is dim names. That means dimension name. So I am having data of, let's say, male, female, and smoker, non-smoker, and the values are this 20, 15, 10, and 40. So here see different values are there. So we are using this CE command, right? So that is for the vector. And now number of rows, how many rows I want? So I want it, let's say 2 rows, and I want to fill it by row. So I'm, you know, giving the argument like by row is equal to true. And what are the names that I want to give it to the matrix? So that is the argument called dim names, that is dimension names. In that I need to provide a list. So list means it holds, you know, multiple vectors. So list can hold multiple vectors or multiple values. So here in row I need male and female. In column I need this smoker and non-smoker. So let me run this. Yeah, I can press Control plus Enter, and now I can, you know, print this M3. And here you can see male, female, smoker, non-smoker, and then you can have this, you know, this 20, 15, 10, and 40. Likewise, you are having this data available. Now let us go and create an array. So for example, if I am having some more detail like company A, company B, and company C, as I was explaining, so I have generated this data which is required for this, and I am, you know, mentioning this number of, you know, how many dimensions are there. So that I have, you know, mentioned over there. So first of all, let us see the simple example. So 1 through 18, that means 1 to 18 numbers will be generated, and it will be arranged in 3 by 3 matrix 2 times. So let me run this. So here, once I run this, what it has done, so one table is created and another table or the matrix is created. So this is one matrix, this is second matrix it has created. So it is company A, company B, you can just assume like that. And here, whatever dimensions that you are specifying, that is rows, columns, and the arrays that you want to generate. Now here, let us give the name to this. So in row, I would like to give a name of like male and female. In column, I would like to give name like smoker, non-smoker, and array name that I want to give it like company A, company B, and company C, as we seen in this example. Right. So we want to create something like this. And I have created, you know, this values 1 through 12, and I've given the dimensions like 2 rows, 2 columns, because male, female, smoker, non-smoker. So 2 by 2 matrix will be there, and there'll be 3 arrays. So like company A, company B, and company C. And dim names, that means I want to give the name. So I can, you know, rather than putting everything here and, you know, making this code complex, what I can do is I can simply, you know, list down all these variables like row name. So it will take from there, column names, it will take from that, array names, it will take from that. And let me run this. I'm getting an error. Now this error, you need to, you know, understand that object row names not found. That means this code we have not run, so it is not able to find out. So first of all, we need to run this row name, column name, and array name. Now it is generated, it is executed, and here also you can see in the environment that this row name, column name, and the array name is available. And now you can use that once it is generated. And now let me run this array, and you can see here, sorry, company A, smoker, non-smoker, male, female. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we have used this 1 to 12 in a sequence, you can give like real numbers also. Company B, male, female, smoker, non-smoker. Company C, male, female, smoker, non-smoker. So likewise, you can create an array. Now let us create data frame. I know I think it's 8:30, but let us complete this topic so that we can start with a new topic tomorrow. So how can we create a data frame? So again, data.frame is the command. So here it is very colloquial language it is using. So whenever you want to create an array, that array is the command. Whenever you want to create matrix, then matrix is the command. Similarly, whenever you want to create a data frame is command. Whenever you want to create a list is the command, right? So here you can see the list. So let us see first of all list and then move to the data frame. So here person1, the name is given, and here I can simply write down list, and into bracket whatever data that I would like to add, I can add. So here Samir, that is in character, name is given, so it is in a quotation. Then this age is given, male. Then this true, that means let's say we are assuming that true, false, something like that, like smoking habit. True means he is smoker. Let me run this, and you can see here where it is, person1. Yeah, here in data you can see person1 is there. If you click on that, it will give you the details of it. So Samir is a character, 28 is a number, this is male is a character, and this is true is a logical. So it is giving you the information about that particular variable. And whenever I want to access that, I can simply run this person1, and you can see here person1, that Samir, 28, and then male and true is given. So whenever let's say I want to access only the first element of the list, so what I can do is person1, then I can use the square bracket. Let me see. Yes. So square bracket, in square bracket you can write down the position. If I like 2, then it will fetch the second element. If I write down 3, then it will fetch third element. If I write 4, then it will fetch fourth element. So likewise you can access the element in the list. And now let us go to the data frame. So how can we create a data frame? So data.frame is the command. Into bracket, what you can give is, like first column I would like to have for the gender. So I can give like gender is equal to, then whatever values are there you can mention in the vector, comma, second column that you wanted for the, let's say, height. So that also you can give it in the form of vector, then weight, then age. So similarly you have given this 4 columns. So what it will do, it will generate a table which contains these 4 columns and this 3 rows, because we have entered data for 3 observation. So let me run this, and I will save it in the data1, right? So let me run this. It has successfully run, and here you can see this data1 is there in global environment. If you click on that, once you click on this, you can see here the table is shown over here, gender, height, weight, and age. Here gender, male, female, male, female, height 152, 171.5, 165. Likewise it is given. So it is like quite very clean, neat and clean view of the data structure, right? And what you can do is, you can, whenever you want to access it, you can simply write down data1. So you can have this entire table over there in the console, right? So this is how you can create different data structure in R. Now let us go to the PPT. So all these commands which I run, that is shared with you in a form of R file, as well as all those commands are written over here in the presentation also. Simply vector. So how can you create this? So all the commands are mentioned over here. So you can also reproduce the output by using this. So this is already we have seen. Array also we have created. This is function for the array. This already we have seen, so I'm just skipping it out. List also we have created. Data frame structure also we have created. This we have created, and our output is something like this. In this practical session we already done. This is already we have seen get WD, set WD, then this help or this question mark, and this ls or rm command is there. So let me just show it to you. So let's say I want to remove I want to know like how many variables are stored in my global environment. So I can simply use ls command. So ls means list of it, just open bracket, close bracket. So you can see here this many objects are there in your environment. So array name, char vect, and like column name and all these are there. I want to remove this d1 because it is not now useful to me. So what I can do is I can simply write rm, give this d1, and it has been removed. So now it will not be here d1. You can see here it will not be there. Let's say let me remove the data 1. So here data 1 is there currently, right? I want to remove it. So let me just write down data 1. It has disappeared. That means it is cleared from or removed from that environment. So this is how you can use this some of the commands. Install packages, already we have seen how to do that. And to quit from the RStudio, you can use Q and open bracket, close bracket, or you can simply click on this red cross. So let me just run this. So it will save the these things, and it will close it down, right? So here it is asking like yes or no. So I can write down like I don't want to save it, so I can press no and then no and that enter. Now time is over, so we are stopping here. Tomorrow we'll start with how can we import data from different formats like text, then CSV and Excel, and then we'll move ahead with the statistical part, like how can we find out summary of this data once it is imported in the R environment. Then how can we find out the summary and all. So that is all about today. Now if you have any question, then you can put in the chat box, or you can unmute you can raise your hand, so it won't create a chaos or something like that, and then we can discuss that.
Hello, Mridul here.
Here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I have installed both the packages. I have also downloaded the files you have given. But
Okay.
still, I think it needs some practice to use those files and programming. So, because in your PDF file, you have only shared the presentation. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So, how to use means select the files and use it in the program? Any help file is there for those? The 4 application files what you have attached.
Right. So that actually the material is designed in such a way that all the screenshots are there. So you can use like you can open the PDF file and you can see the commands and all, and parallelly to see that what are the commands that you need to type. So for that exercise file is shared with you. So that is a day 1 exercise. If you have opened that, so see this day 1, you can simply open that file, and step by step everything is given like what you need to run.
Actually, when I'm running the program, I'm not able to select the file. So I think I missed the
Which
step
file?
how to select
Uh,
the
which file
program.
you are selecting?
I cannot see any of the file. Means how to go to the directory? I think I have to go for change directory. I have to do it. Then only I can go.
Yeah, you need to go to the directory, and still we are not using any data file. We are just open our this R Studio and playing with the default functionality in R. Till now we have not imported any of the data file. So this is all you can perform without setting a directory itself.
Okay. Okay.
And in case if you are finding any difficulty, just share the screenshot on my WhatsApp number. I'll guide you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yes, if possible, I'll share the recording. Maulik bhai.
That will be also helpful.
Yeah, I'll share the recording. Yeah, definitely. And Omkar Shinde is asking like not able to understand set WD and get WD. So word itself is suggesting like get WD. That means whatever current, like we are analyzing the current situation. Like currently, what is my working directory? So for that we are using get WD. So it will throw you that like currently your working directory is at the C drive or D drive or some particular folder. Now whenever you want to change from that folder to some other folder, at that time you use that get wd, that sorry, set wd, that you want to setting your working directory to some other folder. So that is the difference between get wd and set wd. So get wd will only give you the current directory, and set wd will set new directory whichever you want to select. Yes, we can access a specific value of the vector also by using a square bracket, or yeah, by using a square bracket. Yeah, you can do that. 5 colon this one. Let me show it to you. So let's say if I run this 5 colon 1, then it will print in reverse order, right? So let me select this vec 1 and then 5 1, and now vec 1. You can see here.
You are sharing any screen? Not
Uh,
able to see.
yeah, I just stopped it. Let me share it again. Yeah, sorry. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So as you asked, like if we write down like 5 gem 1, then it will print in a reverse. Let's say 5 gem minus 5. Then you can see here, it will start with the 5 and then go up to the minus 5. Likewise, you can generate any number. Another question is like vector. Then I'm writing down 5 gem 1, and let's say this vec 1. Writing down this in a square bracket, we need to write down the index. Index means position of those elements. So let's say if I want to access the 5th number in my vector, then I can simply vec1 square bracket, write down 5th or 5, and then you can access that. Is there any other question or the queries?
Yeah, hi Hiren, Reshma here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, it's regarding packages. So you have showed how to get the Plotly packages from the environment. So how will we know like which packages for which activity? Like for example, if I need for logistic regression, a separate packages need to be installed. Then how will I understand which package for that logistic regression?
So like many of the analysis you can perform with the base package, so you don't need actually some of the packages. Or you can whenever you want to perform some specific task, at that time you need to search to their community support, or you need to go to that cran.repository, that the website from where we have downloaded the R. At that time the information about the package is given. So there is a list of all 15,000 packages are there, and their short description of the package is given. So let me just show it to you if I can find it out.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just finding it out. So here, when I search on Google that R repository, R packages, so I can have the table view of it. So you can see here A3. Then these are the names of the package. So if we see this, some of the like well-known packages. So see here, airport R, that package is there. So you can see here the description, like convenience tools for working with the airport data. So if you are analyzing some airport data at that time, you can use this package. Now if you want to know more about this package, just click over there. So the version and the dependency. So to use this version, you need to have this meter and R markdown over there. If you want to have access to like its GitHub repository, then also the link is provided there. Then you can download its PDF. So reference material PDF is there. So just click on that. You can have all the commands and all the literature about that package. So what are the commands are there, why it is used. So everything is over there. And the best way to confuse with this 15,000 packages, just go and search exit your requirement. So for example, I can simply search like logistic R package for logistic regression, right? So there is a command called GLM. So you don't need any package over there. Let me search some other things like for R package for, let's say, confirmatory factor analysis. So here, in just first 2 or 3 links, you will be able to find out. So confirmatory factor analysis in R with Lavan. Lavan is a package name. For that, you can use. Let's say I want to go for some machine learning algorithms like decision tree. R package for decision tree. So you can just have a look at it. D tree is the name of the package. So here you can see. So likewise, we have to find it out. So D tree is the package.
Okay. Thank you, Hiran. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Darshanji, I actually, frankly speaking, I'm not, I have not used C language. I have started using this R and Python straight away. So I don't know like whether it is the same or no, same or not, but you'll be able to correlate it. Okay. Any other queries or the question, or shall we close it down? Okay. So I think there is no query are there. So let me close the session. I'll share the recording, and in case I request everyone to practice this, and if you're getting any error, then just share me the screenshot on my WhatsApp number. I'll respond you as soon as possible. Okay. Thank you. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow sharp at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Hiran. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.